What up, Raffalitos? Welcome back to my channel. We are in Kingston. This is Barrack Street in Kingston, right? Barrack Street and High Street in Kingston. At the end of this High Street, there is the Pegasus Hotel next to the Pegasus Suites and Corporate Center. And why we're here is to take a look at the World Trade Center building. So the last time we were here, this building, which we're calling the World Trade Center Georgetown, it's just under construction. And it is the brand, that is the World Trade Center brand, held by the franchise owner DDL, Demerara Distillers Limited. And they're building a trade center in Guyana. We are passing, let's see, this is tropical shipping. And the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, that's over here, GCAA, is the guys responsible for airline safety in Guyana and monitoring aircraft standards. So this is the neighborhood we're in. Of course, next door is China National Offshore Oil Company. I understand they're pulling out of the American offshore oil market. But over here, this is the World Trade Center building. And since the last time we were here, they've added walls and a glass front to the building. So the building seems to be progressing quite rapidly. I remember on a previous occasion, it seemed as if the walls are being constructed out of solar panels, but that's not the case anymore. I don't see what appears to be solar panels here. What I see is glass that appears to be tinted, reflective. So this is the World Trade Center. The concept of the World Trade Center is supposed to be one where DDL, the franchise holder, helps to provide global marketing services for local brands. So it's basically a trade consultancy where if you're a local manufacturer, let's say you manufacture plantain chips or egg balls and you wanted to export them to Canada, not so much the US anymore with all their tariffs, but they would be able to provide you with a marketing plan and with consultancy for export arrangements and distributors and all that stuff. So that's the concept behind the World Trade Center. Yes, in fact, on the south, so this is the east and south side of the building you're looking at right now, and it still appears to me that there are solar panels on the side of the building. These black squares still appear to be solar panels. So that's quite innovative. But what seems to have happened since the last time we were here is that they have covered all four walls, or at least three. You can see the three walls of the building have now been covered with its outer skin. That is, the outside walls seem to have been completed. And I guess a lot of the work on the inside still remains. Let's see, you can see through the opening on the top floor, there's still a lot of construction to happen on the inside. But this is what is happening with the... Yes guys, this is what is happening with the World Trade Center in Guyana. The building seems to have been, well, on the outside that is, seems to be completed. Let's see if we can count the floors now. Let's say 2. If we count the ground floor, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6, 7 floors if you count the ground floor. So it's a 7-story building. I don't know what's on the top. There seems to be a huge panel. I suppose that's going to be some kind of advertising for the World Trade Center on top. But that is the current state of affairs here in Guyana. We're now looking south on High Street. High Street becomes Main Street over the next corner. This is Cowan Street. That's Cowan Street looking east. All right, so High Street and Cowan Street, that intersection is High Street and Cowan Street. And that's looking west, Cowan Street looking west. And there is your World Trade Center. The World Trade Center Georgetown branch. What else is happening on High Street? This is the new somebody dropped an ID card on the road. So yes, guys, this is the here we are. This is the old train station that they're turning into a park. So it's being turned into a park. That's fountain. So they're building a fountain. They're building a fountain in this new park. But the buildings ahead, spread in the distance, those were the old train station buildings. Right, the train line came to an end at this point. And this is the old train station. So this is Main Street. Like I said, we're on Main Street. Just spoke to the guy who says he's a security guard and that the president is opening or was there a day ago, yesterday, to open this new park. But it used to be the train line, the train station, Lamaha train station. This is Lamaha Street. That's looking east on Lamaha Street. That's the new glass building at the end of the street. Lamaha Street, right? Yeah. And Lamaha Street becomes Urquhart Street on the other side of this intersection. And of course, High Street becomes Main Street on the other side of this intersection as well. So this is the intersection of 4 streets. And the entrance to downtown Georgetown, Main Street. Right, so the Main Street becomes Republic Avenue at the traffic circle here. So this is Main Street. Now let's look back and see what we have. So that's High Street looking north, and that's the World Trade Center building that we just looked at. And just over the intersection, that's the new park. Basically, Lamaha train station has been converted into a park. Right, that's what's happening here. Lamaha Street and Main Street. Now there's still a lot of work going on Main Street. There is, for example, construction work going on this building. This is perhaps the 3rd time they're renovating this building. I've seen 2 versions, 2 initial renovations before. This time it seems to be being upgraded into a more modern building. It seems as if they tried to turn it into a office building before, and now they've gutted it, taken out all of the mods, the second set of mods, and now they're doing it again for a 3rd time. So we're gonna wait to see what it looks like. That's the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Finance building. And next door, of course, is the British High Commission. Next door to this building on the modification is the British High Commission. On the other side is the Prime Minister's residence behind all of these ivy. And a lot of these buildings are occupied by diplomatic missions, various diplomatic missions to Guyana. And that's what makes Main Street, the heart of Georgetown. It's one of the few streets that are highly maintained because, of course, the official residence of the president is located on Main Street. At least one entrance is located here on Main Street. And that's when, I think a year ago, they redid this pavement or sidewalk. And it's a street that they often decorate at Christmas time. So this is Main Street in Georgetown. Presently, that square is decorated for the Muslim month of fasting, Ramadan. And Ramadan Mubarak celebrates the end of the month of fasting. So the sign there represents a celebration of the end of the month of Ramadan. And of course, on the other side, we have the president's official residence. And morning, Guyana Power and Light headquarters. But this is it. This is what's happening here. That's the context in which the World Trade Center building is being constructed. Here in downtown Georgetown, we're about 2 blocks away from the river. It's a long time since I've visited the river. Water Street, that is. Water Street is about 2 blocks south. Next street over is Urquhart Street. And after that is Water Street. And after that is River. So I remember discussing the plans for the riverfront development that were proposed under the previous government, the coalition government. Those plans were scrapped by the current government, the PPP government. And since then, what has happened is that Water Street became a industrial zone. So you have Halliburton, so those towers, those tanks belong to Halliburton. You have the ice factory, Brittany and Victor Ice Factory, and a number of other industrial buildings along Water Street. But the initial plan was to in fact move all of the industrial buildings and operations from Water Street, move them away from the riverbank, and turn that into a commercial and residential zone for retail space, restaurants, malls, shopping malls, and high-rise condominiums. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for a change in government or the next generation of people to make that vision come true, because the current crop of politicians don't really have that in mind. But that's the state of affairs. We're crossing over, this is Middle Street in Georgetown. It's about 9:30 in the morning. The famous Ham Court nightclub and restaurant. So here we are, Middle Street in Cummingsburg. Next to it is the Bureau of Statistics and new thriving Chinese restaurant. This is one of the old school Chinese restaurants, well, medium school. So there's a new wave of Chinese restaurants being built around the country and the city from new arrivals, new Chinese merchants. But this one is like 25 years old. And of course, those of you who know about Guyanese Chinese from 50 years ago, 25, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's actually not the same, but it certainly represents a strong tradition of Chinese cuisine in Guyana and the Caribbean. On the other side, that's Sacred Heart. That's the Sacred Heart Church. This building, I'm surprised, is still unrenovated, but it's prime real estate, and I'm waiting to see who manages to take over and tear down that building and rebuild it into something new. I think the US Embassy was once located in that compound decades ago. Not embassy, CIS, the US, what is it? Library. That's the Banks DIH Quick Serve. It's a little restaurant with local Guyanese cuisine, snacks, morning. And of course, at Kwamina Street, that's Kwamina looking west towards Water Street. At this intersection, there is now the central shopping district, start of the central shopping district. That is Kwamina Street looking east, and at the top, well, several blocks away, that's King's Hotel. It's King's Hotel from Kwamina Street and Main Street. I think this is the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. That's their building here on Main Street. And on the other side, like I said, this is the start of the commercial, the shopping zone. There's Guyana stores and courts. And of course the famous Hotel Tower. All right, that's Hotel Tower, one of the oldest hotels in Georgetown. Probably as old as Pegasus. At one point the rivalry was between Hotel Tower and the Pegasus Hotel. Those are the two main hotels in Georgetown. There are a few other smaller hotels, Belvedere Hotel, and we're talking 50 years ago, 50 to 40 years ago. Hotel Tower and the Pegasus were the only two hotels, or the two main hotels in Georgetown, and that's what Hotel Tower looks like today. It's still a good place to stay. They have an indoor pool. They have fairly good local cuisine, but apparently they're going to need to renovate to keep up with all the new hotels being built in Guyana. Yeah. When I'm finished. These guys are selling their local handicrafts. That's a National Library here in downtown. And that's the Bank of Guyana building. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing country in the world, Guyana. Later.